Okay, this is a completed project in the sense that all the layers, all the letters are laid out where they need to go. This one just happens to say, I'm so very proud of my students. And then I put my name on the bottom, Mrs. Corso. But it's hard to read because there's a lot of letters here that I don't need to spell out what I want, such as the B and the C. So this video is showing you how you can remove those letters. So you're going to zoom into it, and if you notice there's a lot of little kind of pixels on here. So if we just went with a brush and we brushed this light blue on it, it's going to look too flat. We want to get those little variations in there. Now the first thing you're going to do is you're going to use the Polygonal Lasso tool like we used before, but this time we're selecting inside the beveled edge. Make a nice square. So it's the B is inside the selection, but that dark beveled edge is on the outside. Okay, this is going to act as like masking tape, like the blue tape that the painters use to avoid any of the selection or any of the things that we do. It's only going to be limited inside. So what we're going to do is use this new tool called the Clone Stamp Tool. The shortcut is the letter S. You're going to make sure that your brush, your selection area, is going to be a hard edge. Okay, you can see the first one that was selected was a soft edge. You want to make sure you select a hard edge. So I always tell kids in the default brushes, if you go to 19, that's a nice hard round brush. Okay. You also want to dictate the size. Now it's kind of laborious to jump back and forth to try to figure out the right size from this bar over here. So instead, the Photoshop has a shortcut. Next to the P, the letter P, there's two brackets. There's one on the right, and if you click on it, it makes it bigger. And if you click on the left one, it makes it smaller. So you want to make sure you find an area where it's just blue inside there. You also want to uncheck aligned. You don't want this selection that you make, that you clone, you don't want it to follow you around. You want it to stay right in that spot. So I'm going to hold down the Alt Option button. And what this does, you see a crosshair. What this does is it'll allow you to make a copy of a selection. Okay, and I clicked, just regular click. You can see here's my selection. So what I'm going to do in sort of a circular kind of sponge paint sort of motion, I usually zoom into like a corner, and I kind of jump around. You don't want to go back and forth like this, because if you start going back and forth, it's going to give the appearance of, I call it mowing the lawn. It's going to look almost like when you vacuum and you have those lines going on. So what you want to do is you want to avoid that. I'm going to go to revert and go back to the beginning. So again, you're going to select the inside area here. And use the Clone Stamp Tool. Make sure you have a decent brush. You make a selection, and it's going to be somewhere in the space. The letter B has takes over a lot of the space. The letter C is, for example, is much easier. It's got a lot more negative space that you can work with. You can make sure that you can have the selection bigger. Sometimes you want to reselect, sample a new space. And you just keep going until it looks the way that you want. And you can see that that sample area stays in the one spot. If you don't check, or if you uncheck aligned, it stays put. But if you have a line checked, it'll go all over the place. And you want it to stay put. Okay, so this is the way you like it. If you hit the escape button, it gets rid of the marching ants. And then you can go on to your next tile. Okay, the next video, the very last video, is going to show you some really, really helpful, valuable shortcuts for these steps that you will enjoy.